This is Roger Stone for American Sovereign Bullion. Since 2020, the U.S. dollar has lost over 20% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to rise. Call 844-272-2428 or go to asbgold.com now to get your free gold and silver guide and learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver delivered to your door or held in a gold IRA today. So go to asbgold.com now. Don't wait for the markets to drop. That's asbgold.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning, with us like every Sunday, is Paul Zuber. What's going on in our state? I mean, he represents 3,000 businesses in New York. He's the executive vice president of the Business Council of the state of New York. And I see you, it's Easter Sunday, but I see you crying. Christ has risen, so you shouldn't be crying.
You know what, John? I was telling a friend, like, sometimes I wonder why I still do this sometimes, because New York is a very special place when it comes to all the crazy legislation and all the crazy things that are going on, and where somehow common sense is taken out of the equation. So it is frustrating. You know, here's an interesting fact. Do you know how many bills have been introduced in this the 25-26 legislative session? 22,398 bills. That's how many have been introduced. Now, how the heck are all the legislators, all 200 of them, able to read 22,000 bills?
Impossible. Nobody reads it. Do you remember when Nancy Pelosi ran that big bill in Congress and says, we want you to pass it so you can find out later on what's in it?
Yeah. So, and that's what goes on here. So most of them are unable to read it. They don't put a fiscal impact on the bill, because they all say, when the bills has, well, what's the fiscal impact? They always say, to be determined. And we wonder why these bills keep getting passed, and we wake up the next day and find out that there's a cost on New York consumers, or they're not moving bills quick enough that actually have a positive impact on consumers. There's a bill out there right now, and it's this weird issue about hydrofluorocarbons and refrigeration, right? Why would anybody care about that? Well, because New York, in its infinite wisdom, has gone completely much further than the federal government requires with hydrofluorocarbons. So if you own a grocery store, a bodega, a restaurant, and your refrigeration system breaks down, you can't just simply replace the part. The way the regulations read, you're going to have to replace the whole doggone refrigeration unit. That's potentially millions of dollars for businesses. And who's going to end up eating the cost on that? Who's most going to be impacted when a bodega has to spend $70,000 for a new refrigerator, or a restaurant? It's going to be the consumer. But nobody wants to wake up and realize, and there's a bill out there that would fix this, right? Would align with the federal government. This is something that Biden administration put in, so you can't even make the crazy arguments about, well, you know, the Republicans don't believe in the environment. It would just set things so there's not additional costs on consumers. So you have something like that where they're not moving, yet in the Senate, they pass a bill that creates rent control on commercial properties. So now there's going to be potentially a bill out there that would have rent control on commercial properties. So what does everybody think is going to happen? Do they think like the landlord of these commercial properties is going to invest money in the commercial properties when there's suddenly become rent-regulated commercial properties? How does that, first of all, how is it legal, right? Because it's a taking. But how do we get to the point that we start doing these bills and not thinking about the downstream consequences of these bills? It's maddening and it's crazy, and we're wondering why people are leaving the state. And they are leaving the state. Like, no matter what all these groups want to say, because I hear it all the time from a lot of these progressive groups, oh, no one's leaving this state. It's working class people because it costs too much. Well, the IRS just came out with information. These are where tax returns are being filed. People are leaving it. Working class and millionaires are leaving New York State. And that's why you have the state of Florida openly advertising for New Yorkers to come there. That's why you have people in Dallas, Texas, who are literally building new apartment complexes for one reason only, because they're waiting for all the New Yorkers to come to Dallas. And it's happening. And we're losing a tax base, and it's getting more and more difficult. And we're going to
I told that to the mayor. I told that to the governor. You know what I said to them? We're going to self-destruct. And the picketers that came to picket my apartment, they said, you rich guys can afford it. You should pay more taxes. I said, you're going to reach a point where everybody's going to leave, and you're going to have nobody paying anybody.
But again, this goes back to, like, your point, John. This goes back to why we're in trouble, because people aren't thinking about the downstream consequences. Okay, if you ask the average person, should you tax a millionaire, they'll probably say yes, because they're not a millionaire. But what they forget is those people are the ones that are providing the revenue, the large amount of revenue that help operate all those programs that the mayor and everybody cares about in New York City. So when you drive out that tax base, you're driving out the revenue necessary to afford these programs that are helping the homeless, that are helping people less fortunate. And what you're seeing right now is, if you look at the data, financial services is probably a great example. If you look at the data with financial services, is New York creating jobs in the financial services sector? Yes, but compared to other states, it's infinitesimal compared to other states. Other states are expanding their financial services base at astounding rates. New York is barely kind of middling along with creating those jobs. And that's who creates the revenue for all the things that help people who are less fortunate. And people fail to understand this, and they fail to understand that the opposite impact is going to occur if you keep doing what you're doing.
Understood. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't, because there's a lot of forces against us. And I love New York. I want New York City to survive. I want New York. I said that to the mayor when I met with him. I want New York State to survive. But
I have a solution, John. The legislature should be required to actually do a fiscal analysis on a bill before they pass it. Plain and simple, right? So we know how much it costs. When they passed this climate law, if you look at the bill, it says cost to be determined. Now we found out that it's going to increase gas by over $2. It's going to increase electric bills by over $4,000 upstate. That should have been done before that bill was passed. And until we start looking at the actual costs, we're in trouble.
It doesn't make any sense, some of the things they're doing. And the cost of electricity on those stupid windmills. I hate to put up those windmills again. The cost of electricity on those stupid windmills is going to drive New Yorkers out of business. Well, Paul Zuber, thank you for everything you do, and thank you for bringing everybody, everything up to our eyes so we could see it and enjoy. You want to enjoy Easter today? Thank you.
Thank you, John, and I hope you and your family enjoy Easter as well.
Thank you.
Sacco and Felix, New York and New Jersey's premier attorneys at law. Their team brings decades of experience across a wide range of practice areas. Whatever life brings, they're your legal team. From everyday matters to complex cases, they've got you covered with the experience you need and the results you want. Because when life gets complicated, they make it simple. SaccoFilas.com. SACCOFILLAS.com. 2 C's, 2 L's.